The iPad mini has always been one of my favorite devices that Apple has ever made. It's the perfect travel companion. It's the perfect take this thing to a coffee shop and use it with the Kindle app. And it's so great because you can hold it in just one hand while you're reading through your books. It's absolutely amazing. But it's also limited on what it can do because of some of just the stupid arbitrary restraints that Apple puts on it. And then on the other hand, you have the M5 iPad Pro, and it's literally the perfect iPad. I mean, on this guy, the tandem OLED device, it's just absolutely gorgeous. It uses the Apple Pencil Pro. Inside it has the M5 chip. It can support external monitor support. It is so good. And then with iPad OS 26, it just feels like this thing is an absolutely perfect machine. And then you pair it with the Magic Keyboard and you've got yourself like one of the most special devices that Apple's ever made. And if I wasn't a content creator like this, I could totally do the iPad Pro only life and have this as my only device. But there is still one thing that's holding it back for me, and it is the fact that this thing is not the size, the portable size of the iPad mini. Now I get it, this is not gonna be that big of a deal for everybody, but for me, as somebody who goes out a lot and I like to work out of the house quite a bit because I'm sitting in a garage in Orlando, Florida. It's dingy and dark in here. I want to get out. I love the fact that I can just pop the mini in my bag. It doesn't feel like it takes up any weight at all, and I can just go. Now, there are some rumors for the iPad mini coming up that are going to make this, I think, better than the iPad Pro M5. This mini's got some cool things coming. So I put together a list of what would make this the absolute iPad Pro crusher. And the first thing on that list is actually going to be the screen, obviously. The tandem OLED on the regular iPad Pro is awesome. The screen on the mini is not bad. Like, if you don't have these two things to hold right next to each other, it's not like it looks all that bad. Like if you're watching Space Design Warehouse on YouTube, it looks good enough for what it is. But as soon as you take this outside, say you're reading a book and you take out your iPad mini out into the daylight, it only has 500 nits of brightness. And so if it got that brightness that the iPad Pro has, that would be absolutely amazing. And not only that, but for those of us who are readers, if it's in tandem OLED screen, just the text, like if you put it in the dark mode, just the text lights up, not the black of the background. And so you're not emanating a whole bunch of light. Is that the right word for that? Emanating? Probably is. I also know the iPad mini is used by a lot of people in aviation and different, where you need to navigate your way through. If it had the brightness of the tandem OLED screen, that would be incredible because then when you're outside, you could actually see what you're looking at. I cannot imagine it's very fun to be in a helicopter and not be able to see the directions to where you're going. So not only would the colors and the brightness be better, but you'd also get that 120 hertz ProMotion display. Now, I'm not sure how much you can see this, but with the iPad Pro, in person at least, it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's got 120 hertz. This is just smooth as butter. It's probably not showing up for you, but the iPad mini is only 60 hertz. I think that holds it back. I've said this before, when you're reading a book or something like that, you're not swiping around a whole bunch, so it's not that big of a deal. But with an iPad mini, it'd be so cool to have 120 hertz. Honestly, all of Apple's devices need to be 120 hertz, and then the Pro models should probably go up to 240. And one of the ways this would really help out is with the Jelly Scroll. I don't really see it a whole bunch. I see it a little bit on this device. Again, when you're reading on this guy, you're not doing this a whole lot. But I get it. I get why that would be frustrating for somebody who's reading an article. So that would take care of the Jelly Scroll completely. Now, no matter which iPad you buy, you need to get yourself a good case for it because you spent so much money. Thank you to Zugu for sponsoring today's video. This is their brand new sand case. Now, I want to talk about some of the cool features. It does have an auto wake and sleep function. That is really going to help you out when you're trying to make sure that your iPad doesn't die overnight. Now, one of the main things you're looking for with an iPad case is protection. It does have a TPU and a PC shell on the outside, which is really helpful because if you drop your iPad, most of the time you drop it on a corner and it would smash. But with this outer shell, it would be completely fine. Like as you can see right here, the corners are reinforced. So even if you do drop it on a corner, which is pretty much like a death sentence for most iPads, this one's going to be great. Next, let's talk about the vents on the back of the iPad. This is really helpful because with the M5 chip, most people are using this for a lot bigger things than just regular iPad use. So you need some extra ventilation to help you out. Now here's one thing I really like is it has a place for your Apple Pencil. If we're honest, we lose our Apple Pencils a lot. I know I do at least. For me, I have a GoRuck backpack, and so it's just one big cavernous thing. So I'm always losing my Apple Pencil, but with this, it is securely stuck in there. Now, what's also great is with this groove right here, you can charge your Apple Pencil at the exact same time. So if you're an artist and you're looking for an iPad case that works well with your Apple Pencil, the Sanzugu case is it. So here's what makes this case so versatile. You swing it around like this, and then you've got so many different angles that you can put this iPad at. It has magnets on the back, so you can even pick this guy up, shake it around, and it's not coming off of there. And it's really strong, so when you're using your Apple Pencil to write, you're not getting a bunch of movement on it. Like as you can see, I mean, you can put as much pressure as you want on this guy, and it is going to work just fine. So huge thank you to Zugu for sponsoring today's video. Their new sand case is absolutely amazing, and it is so versatile, so it's going to help your workflow. Check the link in the description to find yours. Let's jump back into it. Now, the next thing that would be a huge upgrade for this is if they took the M3 or the M4 chip and threw it into the iPad mini. I get it. If they want to create some differentiation between the new M5 chips and they don't want to put that brand new thing in, also think about this. With any of these new iPads that are coming out, they've got a back pile of chips that they need to use. And so something like the iPad mini could take an M2, M3, M4 chip, and I think it would be just fine. One of the big concerns with this would be something, like thermal throttling. But man, if you can put an M5 chip in an iPad Pro like this and it doesn't overheat, I mean, the iPad mini is thicker than the iPad Pro. I think you'd be fine to put an M3 chip in here, and then it would be an absolute powerhouse. For anybody who does real work on an iPad, you need something more than the cell phone chips. So I would love to see the iPad mini get away from the cell chips and get into the M series because they are just absolutely bonkers. I mean, even the M1 chip is just so good compared to what's in here. Now, the next big thing, if you were able to get the M3, M4, or M5 chip in these guys, would be the fact that you could do perfect external monitor support. That's one of the biggest things. So I would say this is the single biggest thing holding back the iPad mini. Not the tandem OLED, not all that kind of stuff, not the 120 hertz, but the fact that when you put this on an external monitor, you get those gross, ugly black bars on the side. I mean, think about how incredible it would be to be able to take this iPad mini out to a coffee shop. You got a external Magic Keyboard you could use a mouse, and then you get home with this thing, you plug it into your main monitor. Like if I did this, I just got home, grabbed a little cable, plugged it in, and then I had a full monitor setup where I could do all my work. It would be absolutely amazing, especially with the fact that iPadOS has all of the different windowing options. It's just such a good little device. If you really want portability and you want maximum productivity, Apple, please give this guy full external monitor support. I write all the time in the app Ulysses. I would love to be able to come home from a coffee shop having, work for a few hours, and then I want to come home a little bit, be able to plug it in and have my full manuscript in front of me. That would just be so incredibly awesome. I do think that could be the future of what Apple does because there's no reason it can't do that. I mean, even the chip that's inside the iPad mini, I think it's the A17 Pro chip that's in here, it is plenty powerful enough just to run a full monitor at 16:9. Like, there's no reason it shouldn't be able to do that. And so the fact that Apple's kind of just like purposefully nerfed this thing just so that they have some differences in the lineup, even with the Air has an M series chip and it's able to do that. I think this still has enough power that it could do that. But man, that would put this way over the top. You throw it in your little bag. Maybe you have like a little little man purse or something like that. Throw this in there, and you could do full work when you get home. Now, I know this is all kind of a pipe dream to think that the iPad mini could be the same price. There's no way in God's green earth that this thing would actually be the same price, and I'm fine with that. If they gave me these upgrades, called it the iPad mini Pro, whatever you want to call it, I would be totally willing to pay that money. Now, I do think the current iPad mini is a little bit too expensive still, and so I would love to see Apple bring that down and then set this thing maybe around $699. I think that would be worth the extra money from where this regular iPad mini is at. For most people, I think they'd be willing to pay for it because it is the perfect size for what we need. Now, if you're an artist, I get it. You need all the screen space you can get. This is not for you, but for those of us who are just going to throw this on a Magic Keyboard and use this as essentially a laptop replacement, this would be awesome. So do you think the iPad mini Pro could crush the iPad Pro M5? And if so, would you be willing to pay that price? Let me know in the comments below, and if you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. And you like raw, honest tech videos like this, sub to the channel. If you like this video, check out this one right here. I got a lot of stuff I need you to do. Just do the stuff, okay? Bye.